Good morning, everybody. This is a horrible day for the United Kingdom because three children have been killed by a knifeman who stabbed them in Southport. And not just the three children who have died, but I think eight others who are still in hospital in a critical condition. I hope that they recover, but their recovery is not certain at all. And what's happening here is that people are very, very upset and angry about this. But the powers that be, whether it's in the government, which is now a Labour government, the apparatus of the state, the police force in the area, and the mainstream media, are going through the same playbook that we have every time that there is a white person, child, adult, male, man, woman, whatever, killed by someone who is a migrant, whether it's a Muslim migrant or an African migrant, whatever, or someone from black or an ethnic minority background, not necessarily Muslim, but sometimes they are. And what they start off by doing is saying, oh, you mustn't speculate on who it was. Now, if it was someone who was white, you can be sure that they would tell you exactly who it was within hours, and the narrative would be, oh, well, this is a white person, this is the far right. But in this case, obviously, it's not. So they're saying, don't speculate, don't talk about who did it. The person there, it's not a terrorist act. Maybe the person's got mental health problems. That's the first thing that happens. And then they say, well, then the far right is agitating. The far right is going to go out on the streets and cause problems. And anybody who expresses any kind of anger about this, which is a natural, normal part of the reaction to something like this, and is obviously a part of the grieving process for people who have absolutely, going through hell at the moment from losing their kids, or whether they're their own kids or kids in the community. The people need to be angry for a time, and they're smeared as they're being far right. And this is just absolutely deplorable, but this is what they do time and time again. And then they say, oh no, we need unity, we all need to come together. And then they create these kind of rituals or ceremonies. And we saw that yesterday. Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper and other Labour grandees came up to Southport to lay some flowers, have a video shot of them walking up the road, laying some flowers, and then walking back again, getting in their nice fancy cars and going back to London. They didn't even look at the people of the community. They didn't talk to them. It's like they have no connection, no actual empathy. They're just going through the motions, creating this ceremony for the television cameras so they can see, oh, okay, well, now we're laying flowers. Then we'll light a candle. Then we'll have a service. Then we'll all sing Don't Look Back in Anger. And then, as I said on social media yesterday, they will provide something else to distract us, to move us on. Oh, there's some dancing celebrities. Oh, there's a football match, or oh, well, there's a boat in the channel or whatever. I don't know. There's a yacht somewhere. Whatever they use to distract, and then they won't speak about it again. They will just be lost, cut off from the media. They will blank the story, and that's it. And okay, we've done our ceremonies and we'll move on. This is the playbook that they use whenever there is black on white crime in this country. I'm sure they do it in other countries around the Western world as well. Whereas if it's the other way around, they will never stop talking about it for months or even years. And excuse me, and we're all familiar with some of the events over the last few years where there's been what you might say white on black crime of some kind, whether it's racist or not racist. They will weaponize that and use it for years. So George Floyd, the Christchurch mosque mass murder. When I was on the London Assembly, there were a number of terrorist attacks. There was the Westminster Bridge attack, there was the London Bridge attack, there was the Borough Market attack. Those things again, they went through the motions of, oh, let's have a ceremony, light a candle, and then drop it and forget it. But the one case where there was something different happened, it was a white person went to Finsbury Park Mosque and drove a car in and killed a Muslim outside Finsbury Park Mosque. They didn't stop talking about it for months. And you could actually see, I was on the London Assembly at that time. The Labour members were actually, almost crying. They really were emotional about that. But whereas if it were white people were killed, it was like, okay, we're going through the motions where they weren't upset about it in the same way. It was like, okay, well, we're going to do the thing to control and manipulate people's emotions and diffuse the anger and then get back to normal. But when it was the Finsbury Park Mosque attack, I'm not at all saying that that wasn't any worse. It was wrong. It was a murder, of course. Every terrorist attack, every murder is a heinous crime. But you could see on the people that were manipulating the narrative, for that one, they weaponized it. Whereas for the others, they tried to control it, minimize it. And this is exactly what's happening in Southport. The powers that be are trying to control, manipulate, minimize what is happening here, and then smear people who are angry as being far right. They even said they were part of the EDL, which has been defunct for 9 or 10 years. It's completely ridiculous. And then you obviously, the police turn up, they go in hard, you get the pictures of some angry people. Obviously they are angry, local people, getting into violent confrontation with the police, and then that gives them their pictures that they want. Look, they're violent, they're nasty, they're white thugs. They don't do that when it's the other way around. And this is what's going on. And they're trying desperately to put the lid back on the bottle, but it's not going to work this time, because I think people in this country have just had enough. And it doesn't have to be this way. But you see what's happened over the last 20, 25 years, and has been accelerated over the last 5 years, is mass migration, not of people who are productive, who come to the country to work and get on and integrate because they love this country and want to live in this country because they like it. But people who are coming to this country, number one, mostly military-aged men coming across the channel. And they're coming not because they like this country, but for the first reason is because they get benefits. They get a nice hotel room, they get health care, they get an Aspen card with 150 quid on it a month, as well as free food in their lodgings. Sometimes they get housing benefit as well. Secondly, they go into gangs, many of them, some of them, and worse, thirdly, some of them are here to commit horrible, terrible crimes, murders, rapes, terrorism, like we've seen this week in Southport. I don't care what you call it. 3 children have died, and this wouldn't have happened if this person wasn't in the country. And people are not willing to shut up about this now, because this is what's happening, and this is what has been happening, and it's been facilitated, not just facilitated, but it is a systematic plan, a systemic plan to bring in the worst of some other countries to this country here to live, and they're being sent everywhere. They're not just in the areas that have traditionally been affected by this, like Bradford. Go to Bradford now, or Leicester or Birmingham, and it's minority white. It's majority Pakistani or other ethnic communities. But now they're wanting to spread this out everywhere. So there won't be a single town, city or village in the country, or even a nature spot. We saw at the weekend this Dovetail Steps up in the Midlands, where you had ethnic gangs of people beating each other with sticks in a place which is people normally know how to behave. This is different and this is changing. And of course, I'm not disparaging anyone because of their characteristics, but these particular people didn't know how to behave in a beauty spot in the English countryside. And the plan of the Labour government, which of course is supported by the fake Conservatives who were in power for 14 years and did exactly the same thing, is to continue mass rapid immigration, not of the best and brightest, which I don't particularly agree with anyway, because we shouldn't be trying to steal the best and brightest people from other countries who have been trained in other nations and have their citizenship there. We should be training and educating and developing and skilling our own young people to be excellent, to excel, because we have so many wonderful, bright people in this country, but they're not being invested in. They're being left behind because you've got this obsession with migrating people into the UK. I mean, it's the same all around the Western world. Germany, France, Belgium, Italy, the USA obviously is suffering from this. Canada is suffering. Now you've even got things starting in Japan and South Korea and Russia, which until this year didn't suffer from any migrant crime at all. But now you're starting to see migrant crime in Japan for the first time. How on earth that's happening there? I don't know. Well, I do know. You know, it's a systemic plan. It's an operation to bring in replacement migration. So it's on the UN's website. It's been there since 2000. It's not a secret. It's not a conspiracy theory. The powers that be want replacement migration because they want to cause as much trouble as possible in countries which previously had been prosperous and wealthy and well adjusted and homogenous and happy and excellent as our country once was, but isn't anymore. And the thing about this, to get back to what's happened here in Southport, is that they're trying to use the same playbook as they always have done, that they used after the Borough Market terrorist attacks, the London Bridge attack, the Manchester Airport attack. They're now using that here in Southport. It's not working. It's not going to work. People have had enough. And I hope that we can resolve this and come to an end of the deliberate destruction of our nation. Let's hope that this is what happens after all the tragedy that we see there.